Hello and welcome back to Viper Bites. I'm Matt Donnelly, and I'm going to talk about prospect profiles of some of the best players heading into the NFL draft as we head to that draft taking place in Las Vegas. But before we get into this week's show, this episode here, make sure take a second, hit that thumbs up there. Make sure you're subscribed to the Vipers Network and get those notifications turned up because we got all kinds of content coming your way here. So you do not want to miss all that. And if you're listening to us on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever podcasting platform tickles your fancy, make sure to take a second to rate and review us. Now, let's get into this one because you're not here to hear me promote. You're here to hear me talk about these prospects. And let's talk about the quarterback position here and one Malik Wills out of Liberty. This Flame has it going on. He is one of the hottest prospects heading into the draft here right now. And you know what? I'm going to come out right out here. Full disclosure, this quarterback class, it doesn't really get me going. It really doesn't. There's not one guy that I can be like, you know what? This guy is worth a first-round selection. This guy is worth a top 10 selection. I don't see that guy anywhere out there, but if there was, it's going to be Malik Willis because he's got what you can't teach. Now, Malik Willis, he's not just some random guy that just showed up on campus at Liberty. No, he was actually committed to Virginia Tech before passing on that and attending Auburn. Now, he sat there for 2 seasons sitting behind Jared Stidham. We're not going to get there. And then when the Auburn Tigers brought in 5-star recruit Bo Nix, that was when Malik Willis decided, you know what, it may be in my best interest to transfer here. And he chose to transfer to Liberty, and he sat out a season before becoming the starter there. Now, when we look at him, he's not a big guy, especially when we look at his height, 6'1", but he's thick, especially in the legs. That which was a little bit surprising there, which really shouldn't surprise you, the way he can run the ball. 6'1", 220. 9.5-inch hands. I know we're going to talk about hands. Hand size doesn't matter. Doesn't it matter? Well, at 9.5, not really concerned about that. His breakout age, 21.3. That's in the 33rd percentile. But we mentioned that 2 seasons at Auburn doing nothing, sitting out a season there before becoming the guy at Liberty. So I won't knock him on those kind of intangibles. Did not do anything at the combine. So we don't have any RAS scores, no 40 times, this and that. But we know he's quicker than fast. We know he's pretty fast too. So, hey, 2017, 2018, he sat behind Jared Stidham, attempting just 14 passes for 69 yards in those 2 seasons. He did manage to rush for 221 yards in 7 games as a freshman. So even Auburn knew how electric he could be when the ball was in his hand. It's just, hey, he couldn't get past Jared Stidham at the time, which, I mean, that should be a red flag right there. But hey, we are talking 2022 and how he's progressed throughout the seasons. Now, in 2020, he became that starter for Liberty. He threw for 2,250 yards, 8.5 yards per attempt. He ran for 20 touchdowns and also 944 yards there. He led all FBS quarterbacks in those categories. And Liberty, they went 9-1. So last season, he steps it up another game. He put himself on the map in 2020, but in 2021, he threw for 2,857 yards, 27 touchdowns, completing 61% of his 339 attempts while adding 878 yards on the ground. Now, he was named the Lending Tree MVP there after leading Liberty to a win over Eastern Michigan, in which he had 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also ran for 58 yards and 2 more touchdowns. So when we look at his career, 388 for 618 with a completion percentage of 62.8%. For his college career, he also threw for 5,176 yards with 5,107 of that coming at Liberty, 48 touchdowns, 18 interceptions. He also ran the ball 366 times for 2,131 yards, 29 more touchdowns on the ground. At Liberty, I mentioned that, over 5,000 yards, 47 touchdowns in 2 seasons. Last season, the Liberty Flames, they were ranked in the AP top 25. I can't remember the last time Liberty was ranked in the top 25 prior to Malik Willis being there. And hey, we know they've had some pretty good guys coming out of Liberty recently. We'll see how this translates in the pros. What's he do good? What are his strengths? Dual threat electric runner with a rocket arm. That could basically be his whole synopsis of his prospect profile there. Thick frame, can stand in the pocket, takes those hits, and he's not afraid to get out of that pocket now. Now, when running, he is elusive. He can escape that pocket, like I mentioned, maybe too easily, 100-plus yards 5 times over the last 2 years. So 5 games, he ran for more than 100 yards. There's running backs in this draft class that hadn't had 5 100-yard rushing games. Now, if given time, he can fit that ball into those tight windows and he can go through those progressions. He reads the blitz very well. Can he get the ball out of his hand quickly? If it's not there, he's not afraid to scramble it. Now, here's some concerns when it comes to the quarterback here for Liberty. He takes his eyes off downfield when he's feeling pressure and he will look to run. Maybe a little too soon there, but hey, that's what young quarterbacks do. Now, his throwing motion is also a little inconsistent, and he will need time to learn how to reset his feet in that pocket. And he struggled a little bit with the touch and the ball placement, especially throwing on the run. Now, I'm gonna steal some stats here from some pretty smart dudes here. Josh Larkey at J Larkey tweets. He mentioned that sack rate on Malik Wills. 8.8% sack rate would be the highest for an FBS quarterback selected in the first round since 2005. That's a stat he plucked from ESPN. Per PFF, again, Josh Larkey says 9.7% turnover-worthy play rate. Not the greatest numbers when you're looking at it. Now, if you continue on this thread there, Derek Brown at Dbro_FFB, he gets in on the action here. His longing to make these big plays is what's resulting in these sacks. Okay, 50 or more pressure dropbacks per PF. He absorbed the second most sacks in the FBS, while his 14th rating, 25.2% of these are attributed to him, which isn't great, but this is not the worst in the class. We're going to talk about these other quarterbacks. Sam Howell, he was 9th, 27.5%. Kenny Pickett, that a lot of people love, he was 13th with 25.6%. So, you know what? We can look at these things and we can knock him for that sack rate and how many of these sacks could be attributed to him. But there's other quarterbacks here that we're going to talk about later. Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, resulting in sacks that were their fault, so to speak. Before I go much further here, take a second. I'm going to pull this up here right now. You want to get more information on these top prospects, head over to fantasypoints.com. We got a beautiful magazine that just dropped right now, the 2022 NFL Prospect Guide. We've got rookie rankings there. We've got over 200 rookie profiles there, courtesy of NFL Films, Greg Cassell. We got prospect profiles written up by Wes Huber. We got rookie rankings, Devy rankings, strengths, weaknesses, that NFL transition, which is the most important thing when we're talking about these rookies, how they're going to transition to the National Football League and what skill sets they bring to the table when we're talking about that. Now, when I finally give my final analysis on Malik Willis, what Willis has, you can't teach. You can't teach a big arm. You can't teach what he does when he runs the ball. Not only does he project as one of those Konomi Code type quarterbacks, but he has more than that legs. I said that. He's got that arm. He can get it into those tight spaces when given the opportunity to do so, and he can rifle it in there. Now, the skills, you can mention him to a Lamar Jackson, a Jalen Hurts type quarterback. Guess what? Both Jackson and Jalen Hurts have taken time to develop as a passer in the National Football League. So give Malik Willis a little bit of time. I don't think he's ready to start day one. I don't even think he's ready to start in season one. But come year two, I think Malik Willis can be absolutely electric for whichever team drafts him. Now, there are some things that he needs to work on, the mechanics and stuff that a good coaching will definitely be able to fix. But hey, what you can't fix is what you're going to get at fantasypoints.com. Use promo code Vipers22 and get 10% off that subscription today. And as always, make sure those notifications are turned on because we are bringing you prospect profiles almost daily leading up to the NFL draft and content. We got some content on the Vipers Network you're not going to want to miss. So stay tuned. And when news breaks, we'll be there to cover it. See you soon.